The Gospel of Mary Magdalene. Why was it banned? Mary Magdalene's name resonates deeply in Christian history, yet her identity and role remain shrouded in mystery and misrepresentation. Beyond the traditional narratives, an ancient manuscript, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, paints her as a wise leader and spiritual confidant of Jesus. However, this gospel was excluded from the biblical canon and labeled heretical. Why was this transformative text banned? In this video, we explore the story behind the suppression of Mary's gospel, its revolutionary teachings, and its implications for history and faith. To understand why this gospel was banned, we first need to know more about Mary Magdalene. Traditionally, she is portrayed as one of Jesus' most devoted followers. However, historical evidence reveals her importance far exceeded common perception. Mary was not just present at major events like the crucifixion or resurrection. She was regarded by many early Christians as a spiritual leader and perhaps Jesus' closest confidant. Despite her significant role, church traditions and misinterpretations over the centuries have reduced her legacy to that of a repentant sinner. This distortion has obscured her contributions and diminished her stature in Christian theology. But the Gospel of Mary Magdalene offers a strikingly different narrative, one that reclaims her as a spiritual guide and equal to the apostles. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene was long considered lost until fragments resurfaced in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. 3 key manuscripts were discovered, written in Coptic and Greek, and date back to the 2nd century CE. While incomplete, the surviving portions provide a profound glimpse into Mary's wisdom and teachings. This gospel is not part of the New Testament. Unlike the 4 canonical Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, it was excluded from the Bible during the early church's formation of Christian doctrine. Its banishment raises essential questions about who decided it should be removed and why. The content of the Gospel of Mary Magdalene challenges the traditional narrative of faith and power. It represents a unique theological perspective, emphasizing the soul's journey to spiritual enlightenment. Mary shares teachings she received from Jesus, focusing on inner wisdom and spiritual independence. Revolutionary ideas emerge from the text. One key concept is that salvation is achieved through self-awareness and knowledge of the divine within, rather than through adherence to rigid laws or institutional doctrines. This stands in stark contrast to the authority-driven structure the early church was beginning to embrace. Another radical theme is the Gospel's affirmation of spiritual equality. In one passage, Mary is depicted leading the other apostles and providing insights that comfort and guide them after Jesus' death. Her wisdom is questioned by the apostles, not because of its validity, but due to her gender, a moment that highlights early tensions around women's roles in spiritual leadership. To understand why the Gospel of Mary Magdalene was banned, we must explore the historical context of canon formation. By the 4th century, as Christianity expanded, church leaders sought to formalize doctrine by deciding which texts were divinely inspired. Councils convened to determine the official Bible, and any writings that didn't align with the church's developing beliefs were labeled heretical. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene was one of many texts excluded. Other non-canonical writings, such as the Gospel of Thomas and Gospel of Judas, suffered the same fate. These texts often contained ideas that differed from orthodox teachings, emphasizing spiritual independence and personal connection to the divine rather than submission to hierarchical authority. A closer look reveals deeper motives behind the suppression of Mary's gospel. Patriarchal values dominated the leadership of the early church, and empowering a woman as a spiritual equal challenged those structures. Mary Magdalene's role in this gospel defied the norms of her time, suggesting that women had the authority to teach and lead within the Christian faith. The early church's male leaders may have found this vision threatening. Elevating Mary to such a high spiritual status could have shifted power dynamics, allowing women to demand greater inclusion within the religious hierarchy. Consequently, silencing her gospel not only marginalized women, but also helped preserve the patriarchal structure of the church. So, what exactly about the Gospel of Mary Magdalene frightened the early church? At its core, the gospel emphasizes a personal path to spiritual growth. Mary's teachings suggest that individuals can access divine wisdom through introspection, compassion, and knowledge, bypassing reliance on institutional authority. This spiritual autonomy was a significant departure from the Church's growing emphasis on centralized control. If individuals could work toward salvation without clergy or rituals, the Church's role as a mediator between humans and God would diminish. Furthermore, the Gospel's depiction of Mary as a spiritual leader destabilized the male-dominated ecclesiastical hierarchy. This went beyond heresy. It represented a direct challenge to the Church's consolidation of both spiritual and political authority. The Gospel also sheds light on the critical leadership roles women played in early Christian communities. Historical records indicate that women were often leaders in spiritual gatherings, serving as teachers, healers, and deacons. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene reflects this dynamic, portraying Mary as central to the group's understanding of Jesus' teachings. However, as Christianity grew into a structured institution, women's influence was systematically minimized. The exclusion of Mary's Gospel from the canon contributed to erasing female leadership from collective memory. Although banned for centuries, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene resurfaced at a time when spiritual seekers began questioning traditional religious institutions. Its discovery in the modern era has inspired debates about authority, equality, and the diversity of early Christianity. The text's resurgence has also resonated with feminist theologians, who view Mary Magdalene as a symbol of resilience and empowerment. Her gospel challenges conventional portrayals of faith and invites us to consider alternative narratives of spiritual leadership. Revisiting the Gospel of Mary Magdalene is more than an academic exercise, it's a reclaiming of history. Mary Magdalene's legacy reminds us that the spiritual journey is an inclusive one, requiring voices from all walks of life. Her teachings encourage us to question authority and embrace the divine within ourselves. Moreover, the Gospel challenges us to reflect on how institutionalized religion can silence transformative ideas. What other truths have been buried, and whose stories remain untold? The Gospel of Mary Magdalene remains a testament to alternative perspectives on faith, equality, and human connection. Its banning was not merely an act of theological exclusion. It was a reflection of power dynamics within the early Church. By silencing Mary's voice, the Church solidified its patriarchal structure and secured its authority over spirituality. Yet the rediscovery of her gospel gives us an opportunity to question those historical decisions. It invites us to reimagine Mary Magdalene not as a marginal figure, but as a pivotal leader whose teachings hold relevance for modern spirituality. As we uncover and explore suppressed texts like this one, we expand our understanding of both history and ourselves. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene challenges us to seek inner wisdom, embrace spiritual equality, and rediscover the voices that history tried to erase. Its message endures, offering timeless lessons for a more inclusive and enlightened future. The story of Mary Magdalene has been shrouded in mystery, misinterpretation, and suppression for centuries. Our channel dives deep into the hidden truths about her life, legacy, and the role she played in history, truths that have been overlooked or deliberately concealed. If you're ready to challenge the narratives you've been told and uncover the real story, this is a journey you won't want to miss. Like this video if you value uncovering the truth, share it with others who are eager to question and learn, and subscribe to join us as we continue to unveil the suppressed histories that shape our world. Together, let's bring these hidden truths to light. The truth deserves to be heard. Will you help us spread it?